Hey and welcome back to Neverwinter with Aragon. So the devs actually gone and done it. They improved the new drops from the latest lockbox. The mount has been reworked slightly, and the companion's been improved in terms of its damage. We can see the full patch notes here, and that reveals that yes, the Skyhold Alligator mount has had its debuff changed to now 15% instead of just 10. That is really good because now it's in line with any other mount that also has its debuff at 15%. Like I was mentioning in that original video, your Eclipse line is 15%, the Bat Swarm is 15%, along with even the Red Dragon. And there are a few other notable ones like all your Griffins are 15% too. So that just puts it in line with all the others, which means yes, it's a very good mount to have for that. They also went and changed so it no longer gives a HP buff for 10 seconds, but instead reduces your incoming damage by 15% for 10 seconds. So yeah, they basically made this Alligator mount to be the best one that a tank could use for raw survivability. Reducing the output of damage of the target, that's going to help you and your team, and then reducing the incoming damage you take by 15%, further boosting your own survivability. I will say though, it's more of a niche use, but still pretty useful as a newer player, a newer tank at least. Just in the end game level, your min-max groups will be trying to push you towards boosting the team's damage rather than their survivability. Now what's really nice as well is that they actually changed the equip bonus. So now it's going to give you an absolute ton of critical avoidance rather than the little bit of hit points that it gives previously, because tanks can get upwards of like nearly 2 million hit points on a max out build. This is just a healer at nearly 1.3 million. And so getting another like 80,000 hit points was not that much, all things considered. Now they've changed it, so you're going to get a whopping 27,000 critical avoidance at max 10 stacks. I will just double check this to make sure that is indeed the case. And we can have them attack us. We gain these stacks nice and reliably on every single hit. And we can see our critical avoidance is indeed going up by 2,700 per stack. We start out at 65,000, and with all 10 stacks, we now have a boost of, yes, 27,000. As we're at 92,000. So that's kind of crazy, the amount of ratings and how reliable that is as well. This again can be such a massive boost for newer tanks who don't yet have that maxed out. Just be aware the cap is going to be equal to your item level. So my max cap is 93,000. Endgame tanks are going to already have this near maxed out just by using rating boosts like Jade enchantments in defense and using, say, Courage insignias. But this could allow you to free up a bunch of stuff. Just be aware again, at the end game level, to min-max for groups, they do want you to run, say, Runic Aura, Pack Tactics, or even Mystic Aura, as these give ratings not just to yourself, but your entire team. It can help them reach their stat caps, boosting their damage. But it will be up to you whether you need survivability or not. And ultimately, the mount is pretty good now in its state for boosting a new tank with a bunch of survivability bonuses. But now we want to look at Hank the Ranger and what have they actually done to improve it. We can see right here that they've reduced the charge time for the main attack down from 1.3 to 0.8. So he's going to be attacking quite a bit faster. His multi-shot charge time will now have, say, a 9-second cooldown instead of 10. And they removed the activation time for the Rain of Arrows and improved the damage by 33%. They want him to be a solid choice for AoE damage support, and he should now perform decently in this category. So let's actually go and have a look at that. Again, I use the initial fight here in the Kessel's Retreat skirmish to test all of them, and ultimately they've got 5 enemies to beat up, which can move around a bit, and that can throw off results a little bit, but that will also be in your general fights too. Your companion is going to move around a bit randomly. But we can then see how quickly can he kill all 5 of these targets. You can see he can do pretty well there, hitting all of them with that rain of arrows ability. And if he does have them grouped up, he can also hit them all with his multi-shot. And so in this test, he took about just over 2 minutes to kill all 5 of them, which puts his DPS at about 10,000. That's a definite increase from his previous 7,000. Definitely not spectacular, but will boost his rank up here to say 13th position. I think the devs could still improve him a little bit further to make him an even better solid choice to compete with alternatives. Potentially widen the cone of his multi-shot. Currently it's super narrow, he barely ever gets to hit more than a few guys in there. And otherwise make his energy arrow have a little bit bigger radius. You can see right here, he can't actually hit the enemy adjacent when they're this close to each other with just that energizing arrow. It ideally needs to have like at least a 10-foot radius, if not 15-foot radius. And that would help a long way to, killing groups of enemies. As it stands, he's still a bit underwhelming unless you have him and would otherwise be using these other companions. Although I would say Intellect Devourer is still a very solid choice, not because of his damage, but the ability to just stun the enemies for a whopping 4 seconds every 10 seconds, because it's 2 seconds here and then doubled because of this ability. But we now need to check out the Coldlight Walker, because as the patch notes, they've gone and nerfed him. They've noticed that his AoE DPS is broken, far outperforming every other companion by almost 100%. But their intent with these adjustments is to still have him as one of the top multi-target companions currently. So let's have a look at that. You can see my previous tests when I made the video, when I tested him out. Yes, he's nearly double the amount of damage than say like Regis, who is the most notable multi-target companion, until this guy came along, the Coldlight Walker. But yes, let's see what they've done. They say they've just decreased the tick rate of his vortex power from 2 ticks to 1 tick per second and reduced the damage done by Cone of Cold and his chilling vortex powers. Well, what does that mean? We go here for the exact same test as we did with Hank. We get the companion to start damaging them. I just keep the companion alive and every now and again stun the mobs so they don't kill the companion as well. And because he's a melee companion, all the enemies want to kill him too, it can generally get them pretty nicely grouped up. Be able to hit them all with that multi-target ability. And he's actually, yes, still very, very good here. He does some pretty good damage with that area attack. He manages to kill them all within just over 1 minute and 30 seconds. This puts his DPS at 14,600. That is, yes, a massive nerf, going from about double that at 28,000 to now 14,600, which also does take him down to say the 3rd spot. I would say Minsk is a questionable spot here because he does really need the enemies very tightly grouped up at 15 feet radius. Coldlight Walker is a bit better with a 20-foot radius, and Regis is even better with a 25 feet radius. But yes, he's still one of the top multi-target damage companions, at least for my test here. And so what they claim here is true. He is still one of the top ones currently available. But yeah, that was a massive nerf, which is unfortunate if any of you went out there to obtain him as a result of his super powerful abilities. Personally, my suggestion would be to give these companions that you intend to nerf a grace period. As long as they're not game breaking, like say the Blaspheme Assassin was back in the day, then just leave them as is. A multi-target companion, even if it does double the damage that any of these do, is not going to break the game. And so what my suggestion would be is to give them a temporary time frame. You'd give them say another month before you nerf them. And you would also put in the tooltip of the companion so you could see before you even decided to purchase it that it's temporarily boosted, and that boost will end in say a month with then a countdown on that tooltip. That could be an interesting way to do it, rather than instantly coming out with a patch without saying anything and nerfing him significantly. He's not in a bad spot. They did a good job with, say, balancing that nerf, but still, I can see why it doesn't feel so good, particularly because you might have gotten that companion as a result of how powerful it was. But yes, there's always going to be people who are going to argue as well that you maybe shouldn't have gone to get it because it was very powerful and you should have known it was going to get nerfed. My personal standpoint on that is it's not really fair. Like, the devs could have said something at the point that I done my testings, or at the very least tested it themselves before releasing it. But other than that, for this update, we do have some bug fixes here with the final boss music, and then thankfully, with the Neon Eclipse Lion, it will now properly be displayed and claimable across all characters on your account. So this mount is actually not supposed to be not account wide like we assumed. You are supposed to be able to claim it here, which is indeed the case, as we can see the Neo Eclipse Lion. So if you want to go for it, you can, but do expect to open about 1,000 or more of those Astral Lockboxes. I personally had to open nearly 1,300 of them, which is an absolute crazy amount of Astral Diamonds. So this is more a collector item than anything. And be aware there are plenty of other mounts that can do just as good as this one in terms of the combat power. You can see this list here, and he's mainly good because he has the 15% incoming damage received effect, along with reducing the outgoing damage of the targets. And Swarm pretty much has the exact same bonus as that. But yeah, that's it for this update. Just be aware that once maintenance is over, we'll have the Feast of Lanterns, the Year of the Snake, and we'll actually be able to get this new snake mount. The dev blog doesn't have much details on it, so I didn't cover it in an earlier video, and I will be going over the event, how to make the most of it, and get all of these new rewards, including the new snake. So that's it for now. Thanks all for watching. A special thank you to the extra support of my channel members, and we'll see you all around. Goodbye for now.